U.S. stock futures were little changed Sunday night after the major averages kicked off 2024 with a down week, as traders look ahead to inflation data and big bank earnings in the week ahead. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures fell by 35 points, or 0.1%. S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 futures climbed 0.14% and 0.21%, respectively. On Sunday, congressional leaders announced a deal establishing a $1.59 trillion in top-line spending, in order to avoid a potential government shutdown. Boeing shares may trade lower when regular trading opens Monday following a temporary grounding of dozens of Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircrafts for inspections, after a section of an Alaska Airlines flight blew out. Wall Street is coming off its first losing week in 10 as mega-cap tech stocks such as Apple underperformed, and Treasury yields rose. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 1.5% for the week, and the S&P 500 slid 0.6%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite posted its worst weekly performance since September, falling 3.25%. Apple shares slid roughly 6% last week, the yield on the 10-year Treasury yield swinging back above 4%. Markets consolidated after the year-end rally, following a dovish pivot from the Federal Reserve, had investors concerned equities are now overbought. A hot December jobs report, as well as Fed meeting minutes this week that indicated elevated uncertainty around the path of rate cuts, added to those worries. I do think attitudes are probably getting a little too enthusiastic, read a Friday note from Chris Verrone, head of macro and technical research at Stratagas. That may need to get dealt with via some type of a consolidation or correction in the first quarter. Still, Verrone added, but generally speaking, the trend is good and momentum is behind this market. This week, traders will get greater clarity into the path of rate cuts from the central bank. The December Consumer Price Index is set for release Thursday, while the Producer Price Index is due out on Friday. Will show whether the Fed's efforts to bring inflation down to its 2% are taking hold. The latest corporate earnings season will kick off Friday with results from big banks Bank of America, Citigroup, J.P. Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo. Dow component United Health is also reporting. Results from BlackRock and Delta Air Lines are also on deck. The Federal Aviation Administration on Saturday ordered a temporary grounding of dozens of Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft for inspections, a day after a piece of the aircraft blew out in the middle of an Alaska Airlines flight. Images and video of Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 that were shared on social media showed a gaping hole on the side of the plane and passengers using oxygen masks before it returned to Portland shortly after taking off for Ontario, California, on Friday afternoon. The FAA's Emergency Airworthiness Directive will affect about 171 planes worldwide and applies to U.S. airlines and carriers operating in U.S. territory, the agency said.